Today's episode is brought to you by Positively Productive Systems, whose mission is to be the antidote to your stress and to provide compassionate productivity resources and coaching that help you heal and achieve. Be sure to check out both free and paid resources at positivelyproductive.com/resources.
Virtual assistants are so capable. They're so knowledgeable. They have so many skills. It's a shame to just have them doing busy work when they can really elevate your business. And again, the difference between the busy work and the elevation is the strategy.
You're listening to the Positively Living Podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Zaratny, founder of Positively Productive Systems and a coach certified in time and stress management, helping overwhelmed clients make space for what matters. Join me each episode as we explore ways to live a more proactive, productive life with topics and guests that speak to simplifying self-awareness, systems, and so much more. I understand overwhelm personally as a fellow multi-passionate entrepreneur, wife and mom to kids and cats, and former caregiver. I'm here to help you choose what's right for you so you can do less, live more, and breathe easier. Sound good? Let's get to it. Welcome to the Positively Living Podcast. I'm your host, Lisa, and today I welcome Liz August back to the show. You may remember her from episode 18, where we talked about delegation as a way to declutter our lives, and episode 110 on why we struggle to hire a VA. You may also recognize her from the bajillion shout-outs I give and as host for a day when she took her biz bestie role very seriously and interviewed me on my own podcast to celebrate my 100th episode. Liz has simplified the businesses and lives of more than 100 coaches and online service providers as a business and tech strategist. She and her team provide a one-stop shop for clients' tech and admin needs and are responsible for organizing, streamlining, and slaying the to-do lists of notable coaches, authors, and visionaries. What sets Liz and her outsourcing team apart is that they don't just check off items on your to-do list. Liz and her team first strategize with you, which helps you avoid the pitfalls of delegating. And when they get done what you can't or shouldn't be working on, they give you the freedom to do what you do best. This approach that really sets her and her team apart based on what I've seen in the industry is something I felt we needed to discuss here, and that's what inspired today's episode. There's a real efficiency in figuring out first what needs to happen the best way possible before you do it or ask anyone else to. You can and may already have found others who can implement what you need to get done. They are the doers, and I commend them because we'd be lost without them. But have you ever delegated and didn't get done what you'd hoped? Or when you did have help, were you sure it was the right approach for you and your business? And when someone took tasks off your list, were you confident those tasks should have been there in the first place? This is why strategy is a must. Strategy, simply put, is a plan of action that properly connects to our objectives. It's how we reach our goals the right way. Strategy gives us clarity and helps us make intentional and effective choices. It's critical for my work in holistic productivity, and it's essential for effective delegation. Liz helps us understand how strategy looks in admin and tech delegation especially, and how her focus on the client or customer journey is where strategy benefits you and them. After listening to today's episode, you'll have simple, effective steps to begin strategizing on your own, which helps you understand what you have, what you need, and will give you a huge advantage when you're ready to delegate. Keep in mind that today's conversation is intended to help you make the most of delegation once you're convinced you're going to do it, when you're ready for it. And if you're still on the fence about it, either unsure if it makes sense for you or wondering what you would even delegate or how it could work, then you'll want to listen to Liz's previous episodes. One of the things she mentioned today, one of my favorite things, was SOPs, Standard Operating Procedures. Her suggestion to record a video is a fantastic option, and you'll definitely want to listen for the details on that. But if you're not even sure where to start or how to organize this approach, that's something I can help with. we can put together a full set of SOPs in a strategy session. And it's not a coincidence that I call mine that as well. You can find that and all my coaching packages at positivelyproductive.com/hub, HUB. And if you book a strategy session with me, be sure to use the promo code podcast for a very special listener discount. Now let's join Liz and get inspired to delegate the right way. Welcome to the Positively Living Podcast, Liz August, or should I say, or even better sing, welcome back. You are, three-peat at this point? I'm so excited to chat. There are so many times when I have conversations with someone and I'm like, oh, I really want to dig into this one spot. And that's what we're doing today. But before we do, please, for those who have been living under a rock and haven't met you yet, would you please tell us a bit about who you are, who you help, and what makes you light up?
Absolutely. So happy to be back with you. I am Liz August from Worcester, Mass, and I'm a wife, infertility mom, an embryo donor. I'm an activist and a business owner. I help visionaries, coaches, online service providers, podcasters, authors. I think I got them all. I help them stay in their zone of genius, and it just lights me up when I can simplify their lives.
Yeah, and simplifying is key. And we've talked about the various ways to simplify life. You've been on the podcast talking about how we can declutter our lives through delegation, the concepts behind that, and then also with delegation, like to VAs, what's going on with that and what may be holding us back. But just for the sake of keeping it all together in one conversation, let's do a quick review. And first of all, let's start with defining some of these terms, these letters that are being tossed around. You know, we're delegating to people like VAs and stuff. Can you help us break down what that all stands for and where we might see them?
Absolutely. So I think everybody knows what a VA is, a virtual assistant, typically a freelancer, not like an employee, though they could be, but typically not. And they are doing really any task under the sun. But the way that I like to think of VAs are more like general admin tasks. So emails, scheduling, things like that. Then I think like kind of a step above that is an OBM, which is an online business manager. I kind of look at that as like a restaurant. So an OBM is the manager of the restaurant and a VA is the wait staff. Obviously, a manager manages the wait staff, which OBMs often do. They often work with teams and make sure that the VAs are doing what they need to do, while the OBM is freed up to maybe not do so many tasks, but just kind of hold the vision and the mission and the overall strategy of the business. I think those are the most well-known. And then there's the director of operations, which is a DOO, and that's kind of just one more level above OBM, where you're managing all the daily activities of a business or a company. You're overseeing several departments or several teams. So I think that those are just kind of natural progression tiers of the different kinds of virtual support professionals that help entrepreneurs. And they help them in so many different ways, between admin and tech and creative and operational help. They really can show up all throughout every aspect of a business.
Right. Okay. That's really helpful. And what came up for me as you were describing this was also the idea that we each play those roles in different capacities. And so then we're looking to have someone come in and do that role for us. Again, the whole idea of delegating, so that it allows us to move into a different space of what we're creating and doing and what we're meant to be doing. So
something I thought of recently is like, it's no wonder entrepreneurs are so tired, because we're trying to fill all of these roles. Like, we're trying to take care of, our clients or the services that we provide. That's outward facing, but inward facing is like, we're trying to do the work of like 10 different departments that you would find in corporate, if you really think about it. Or like, I come from the world of teaching, so why would I be dealing with my scheduling? That's the school's problem, right? But I'm scheduling my clients. So it's funny to kind of compare different worlds. And if you're an entrepreneur, to like give yourself a break and realize, no, like you're doing the work of probably 10 different people all the time.
Oh, yeah, that's so true. So, yeah, first of all, celebrate how much you're doing. But here's why we want to be getting you that help. And this is something that you covered in why you might struggle to hire a VA. So, the challenge that we have, we want to hire one, but we don't. What's going on there?
Yeah. Building a business is like having a baby. And we hear all the time how difficult it is for moms to accept help because they want to be the perfect mom, right? Or I think really any single parent is just like, no, I can do this. So I feel like we just really, we do a lot of that. There's a little bit of martyrdom in entrepreneurship. I mean, like for good reason. And so there's a lot of different reasons I see of why people don't delegate or hire out. One is this idea of like, no one else can do it as good as I had.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And having that control of this is my thing, this is my baby, I got to take care of this, all the way down to like, it's expensive. People are like, I don't have the money to afford some help when I can just be doing this for myself for free. And I know we had an episode or two where we talk about that and just all these reasons that we can get in our head about why not to delegate out.
Right. But the reason that we really need to is something that you talk about all the time. And I love mentioning it. It's based on the book, The Big Leap. And I talk about this many, many times. That book is on my favorites page on the website. It's the zone of genius. And that's where we are the most productive and the most efficient and the best place for us to be. So it's like, well, how do we get there? So let's say we've listened to those episodes and we're ready to delegate. Okay. We need to think about what to do, who should do it. And I can tell you, I have delegated many times, and sometimes it's worked and sometimes it hasn't. I know, there's a missing step in there that we're not thinking about. And that's what we're diving into today. So take it away, Liz. What's going on there? Why does it work sometimes beautifully and other times it doesn't? You're like, I don't understand. And there's a self-fulfilling prophecy where you're like, see, I told you I need to have control. I might as well do it myself. Like, what's going on?
It really comes down to strategic delegation. And I say that with all the weight in the world. A really good example is, and I've talked about this in another podcast episode I was in with you, something I've delegated in my life that's not business related that has made such a difference is that I have my house cleaned and she puts my laundry away. And I love this woman. Like, it is a treat when she comes to our home. She makes us feel better just by thinking about the fact that we were able to do things that we wanted to do or had to do and didn't really need to take the extra energy. Who has extra energy, right? She just fills that gap for us. And I think about her all the time because, first of all, she's an English language learner. She's from Brazil. She speaks Portuguese. And she came in for ages and was cleaning our house and putting our laundry away, and it was fine. It was great. She did a fabulous job. I made one strategic change that not only made it easier and faster for her, but it also made things better for us. I labeled our closets in both English and Portuguese. That was a strategic move because my husband's shirts were ending up in mine, and t-shirts or like graphic tees, or like maybe he wanted all his black shirts to be on one shelf and graphic tees for the weekend on another shelf. Like, these are the little things that save you precious moments of every day.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, well, this is just where the t-shirts go. So we're just going to put all the t-shirts here. It makes her job easier. She doesn't have to ask me every 5 seconds, like when she's putting stuff away. And it saves us precious time. And all it was I looked up the words in Portuguese and I slapped some labels on. And that was a strategic move. So these little tiny tweaks that you can make of strategy, things like having standard operating procedures, SOPs, writing down the steps of how you do something that you do a million times and now you're just like, I can just get this done. Well, so can someone else. You just have to give them the training. And a lot of us think we don't have the time to train somebody. But if you just record, there's so many softwares out there that you can screen record, you can write down the steps in a Google Doc, but just getting that out and off your shoulders, like even if it is something as simple as posting something to Instagram, you already have the graphic, you already have the caption, you just have to go on there and post it. Anyone can do that if you give them the right steps. So it might not have worked out if you had a virtual assistant before because maybe they weren't doing it the way you wanted. Maybe you wanted them to do things a little bit, more strategically. I think that can really change if you just take that extra step to prepare them in a strategic way.
Okay, so not only was the labeling that you did, it's such a simple solution, right? But so elegant because you're not only making it easier for her, so she's potentially doing it faster, more efficient, right? Less distraction because fewer questions, but also one of the other sides of it, and I'm just, productivity coach hat on, thinking about like this aspect of it is that you're also thinking, how do you want this organized so that when you go to do your part, which is grabbing the clothing, getting changed, packing, doing that sort of thing, you have it where you need it, where you can get it the fastest that makes sense for you. It's not only the labeling that makes it easier for her, but the strategic part of it is where it is, how you want it. You used the shirts as an example for your hubby. It's like, you've got the shirts that he wears every day for getting ready for work. And of course, you want to be as quick and as efficient as possible in getting ready for that. And then, graphic tees for the weekend. And that can be in a place that's like further away or packed somewhere else that's easy to grab. But you have that distinction. I love that. Those elements of strategy, they change the game for both you and whoever you're delegating to.
Exactly. And I like to brag about my team that I have because all of the women that are on my team are very skilled in many different platforms: WordPress, Squarespace, social media, Zoom, Loom, everything. All the girls on my team know how to use platforms impeccably. They don't necessarily know how to use the platforms for each specific client. ClickUp, for an example, ClickUp is a very powerful, incredible project management tool. And if you go into anyone's ClickUp, I guarantee you it's set up totally differently than somebody else's.
Oh, yeah.
And the same for Trello and this, Asana, all of these different things. And I could take an expert in Trello and say, go into this client's Trello account and keep it going. And she'd be like, okay, well, I know how to work Trello. I'm an expert, but how is the client using Trello? And it's the same kind of reason why I caution all of my clients from buying Trello templates or templates in other platforms. Templates are awesome. I look at them as idea starters, but your business, how things run, and a template is not going to automatically match that. A professional is not going to automatically match that unless you fill in that gap of what's the vision, what's the way that you need to use it, and then they can carry that out.
Yeah. So the way that you need to use it, and that goes back to like how I coach in productivity, is like, how do you work best? What do you need?
Yes.
What does your business need? Right. So when you figure those things out, now you're talking about the SOPs, which it can be as simple as a checklist. Like you said, it's the steps on how you do it. Once you have that strategy in place, whatever the platform is. What you're saying too is that when we have that strategy key, this might be an extreme way to say it, so it may not apply all the time, but it certainly stretches that the more strategy that you have in place, the more likely anyone can help, or more people can potentially help. So whoever it is that you're hiring or someone you had in mind, I'll tell you, and I know we have talked about this before, but it bears repeating, that you don't want someone to come in and help you and just do your busy work, to do the inefficient work you were doing already. What a waste of time and energy and money and potentially their talent too.
Mm-hmm. Virtual assistants are so capable. They're so knowledgeable. They have so many skills. It's a shame to just have them doing busy work when they can really elevate your business. And again, the difference between the busy work and the elevation is the strategy.
Yep. You want to have them do productive work, not busy
Correct.
work.
Yes. I mean, the busy work is great, but it's not going to it's not going to move the needle.
I think that's a fair point. And I do want to acknowledge that if you feel extra busy and you haven't been able to get efficient yet and figure out the productive side of it, okay, and you have extra stuff to do, you could have someone come in and be like, handle these tasks for me. But what we're saying here, and this is what I love about this key point that you're bringing up, and that it's what makes you and your agency different, is saying, oh, but if we step in and we figure out the strategy part first, this is going to serve you for the long haul.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I've had people come in and be like, listen, I've got extra stuff I'm doing. I probably shouldn't even be doing it, but just do it for me.
Yep.
And I did actually have that. I had a lovely VA come in and help me with the gratitude side of things for a while. And then eventually I'm like, but really, this is not serving me or my business. I can create an entire product of gratitude resources, which I did. And it's for free and it's easy to request. And I don't have to keep posting it on Facebook or keep doing these things that I was having her do. And it was a waste of everyone's time. But, you learn. And that's why we're having this conversation.
Exactly.
Okay. We love this idea, right? All right. Now we're like, yes, I'm going to delegate. I'm going to get my zone of genius. Liz, you're brilliant. Yes, I want this. And strategy. Right. Wait, what? So let's talk about what we can do right now to make sense of this, to start the strategy. Where do we go from here?
So we already talked about your SOPs, your standard operating procedures, and that is something as silly as do a 5-minute video recording. And I have to shout out Loom. I'm wearing some swag today. Loom is a super user-friendly, very easy software to use where you just record your screen and talk while you're doing it. And you could just be like, here's how to sign into my website. Here's how to get to my blog. Here's how to add a new blog post. And then now someone knows how to put a blog post on your blog for you. And you just shoot them the copy in an email and it's done, right? So is that 6 steps? Is that 3 steps? Is it 10 steps? Who cares? It's a standard operating procedure and now anyone can follow it. So anyone who's thinking about, oh, I need a VA, I need to start delegating, something you can easily start doing now is just next time you go, do a task that you hate doing or don't want to do anymore, put Loom on, record yourself talking it, pretend you're just talking about every single click you're doing on the screen, and now you have a standard operating procedure. Super, super simple.
Love that.
Right? Another thing I talk about, and this is the strategy piece again, is strategy centers all around your client or customer, whichever one you have, journey. You look more professional when you make things easier for your clients or your customers. So if you don't map out every single part of their journey, you can't make that easier. You don't know what they're experiencing. You're only seeing your side of things. So when I work with clients, I say, open up a fresh Google Doc or take out a pen and paper and just write lead at the top. Where are they coming from? Are you getting all of your people from referrals? Are you getting all of your people from social media, email marketing? Are you going to networking events and meeting people face to face and then that's your new lead? Okay, cool. So how are you going to keep them interested? How are they getting onto your mailing list? How are they going to see your website? If you met them in person, are you giving them a business card? What else could you be doing? So you have to really put yourself into every single possible scenario of a lead to a connection call, to a consultation, to the actual service, all the way through completion, hopefully retention. You have to walk through every single part of that. What are they seeing? What kind of automated emails can you set up? Do you send a gift when they sign on? And is that something you could automate? So many different things that I don't think a lot of people are thinking about. If you say to yourself, well, I'm a life coach and I'm just going to start doing an online course. Okay. How are people getting into the online course? Do you have a checkout cart where they're going to purchase? All these little steps, that's what a strategic virtual assistant, OBM, DOO, whatever you want to call us, that's what a strategic one will look at. Whereas a general VA that isn't looking at it with strategy is just going to say, okay, what do you need? And expect you to come up with that entire list of things for them to do.
That's right. And one of the things I've worked with you on, and the more that I do this, the better it gets, is it's not only where you have leads and where you're bringing them. And by the way, I always think of it like the word itself tells you what you need to do. You need to lead them. You need to give them a path that they're going to follow, and then you're going to automate it and do it strategically. And the stuff that you come up with just always boggles my mind. But the thing that we worked on, and we've worked on it repeatedly, and it's been incredibly helpful, is the onboarding and offboarding too. So it's, yes, now there is retention. Now they have hired you. Those moments where they feel seen and heard, and they have questions answered before they can even ask them. That's strategic delegation right there, or automation. Again, whatever it happens to be, you're working together here to have those steps in place to make sure they feel well taken care of. Love it.
Another one I see all the time is we're leaving money on the table constantly with leads because, let's say, oh, Lisa, I'm so interested in your coaching. I want to set up a connection call. And I press the button and I schedule the call with you. And then, oh my gosh, emergency. My little one needs to be picked up from school. I have to cancel this call. I jot you a quick email. Lisa, I'm so sorry. I can't meet at our assigned time. I'll reschedule. Well, now I'm frazzled and I forget to reschedule. And if you don't follow up with me to reschedule, I probably won't. And so you had this well-qualified lead that was so excited to talk to you, but you left money on the table because you didn't follow up. And so if you had all of those I look at it like a roadmap where it's like, okay, what road could happen? Ideally, somebody jumps on a connection call with me and they show up at the right time, but left turn, she had to pick up her kid from school. So now she's not coming. So how do I get her back on the call? So these are all of those left turn craziness that could happen that you really need to plan for. And that's all part of the journey.
Yeah. And that right there is the strategy when it's not just, okay, we're going to do this, this, and this. Great. Those are the basic steps. But now let's dig into what could really happen and having the backup plans. There is no plan B, really having the backup plans. And that's something that you're so good at to be like, okay, but then this could also happen. And then how do we automate this, reroute this, do that kind of thing? So it sounds to me like really good next steps is to start listing out whether it's SOPs, where it's like the steps that you're taking to do something, or in this case, the steps of the client journey. So thinking about where are they coming in? What are they doing next? Or what would you like them to do next that will serve them and you best? Like making that list or the roadmap or the path or whatever you want to call it.
If you start looking like Charlie from Always Sunny in Philadelphia with that crazy map on the wall where he had red lines and starting to look really crazy, that's great because you're really thinking it through. So you've got every corner of that customer journey mapped out. That's what I want to see.
I love it. All right. That is a pretty straightforward next step. And here's what's brilliant is that if you haven't been thinking about this is your sign. Do it now. And if you have been thinking about it, then you can dig even further and be like, okay, here are my steps, but what am I missing? What are some of those roadblocks and hurdles and stuff like that? And really dig in and then maybe chat with Liz and be like, this is my list so far. What am I missing? Okay. As we wrap up, is there anything else that you want to share? Any other possible steps or just encouragement that you would say in terms of really leaning into the strategic side of delegating?
As you're planning out that client journey, think about the best customer service you've ever had and how you felt held and supported. And you're like, man, they really, like, you referred my bookkeeper to me. And I love Bridget, and she's
Yeah.
amazing. And one of the biggest things that just like, oh my God, probably 4 days after I signed a contract with her, she sent me the most gorgeous client gift. It was this lovely, just lovely gift. And so, and that encouraged me. I was like, you know what? I'm really going to invest in client gifts now because it made a difference. So think about what made a difference for you and incorporate that into your client journey as you start looking like Charlie from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Just put those little notes in there.
I love that you gave a shout out to Bridget.
Yes.
She's amazing. I'll be sure to put her link in the show notes. Yeah, and that's a great example. Whenever anyone's like, hey, delegation, give me an example. I'm like, first thing I ever did was say, please track my money.
I'm done with these numbers.
Yes, exactly. The place where I'm meant to be is in the coaching seat. So I love that. Using the best example, thinking about what you want to accomplish. But again, we don't need to be afraid of the word strategy, right? It's really just thinking about what intentional serving steps. And when I say serving, I'm not a fan of like using words like good and bad, right? I want to say, when you have habits, right? These habits serve you, or maybe they don't serve you so much. Where are you going? What do you want to accomplish? How can you serve yourself? I love that. Okay. I think we are in such a great place to wrap up. And I know we're coming up on one of your favorite parts of the podcast.
Yes, I'm like amped up.
Wait. We have to let everyone know where they can find you first, and then we'll get into the fun part.
That would be helpful. So I made it super easy. You can go to simplify.me/podcast, and you can get yourself some free goodies there. You can also visit some of the other podcasts I've appeared on, which most of them are Lisa's, and enjoy those free gifts. And I hope to set up a connection call and chat with you.
Love it. Okay, now we're going to dig into the rapid wrap up. And I'd like you to fill in the blanks, please. A song that lifts my spirits, makes me dance like you're doing right now is?
10 extra points for singing it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Tell me something good.
You
can't not finish it up. Exactly.
I'll tell you that I like it. Okay.
So good.
How about a quote or a mantra that inspires me that I'd love to share?
I need to start collecting these because I always do the same one over and over and over again. But it's like my favorite quote. And it's hysterical because I'm not into sports whatsoever. But the great one, Wayne Gretzky, had a great quote as well as hockey. And he said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And I just think that's so true.
It's 100% true. And it's so inspiring. And yeah, you know what? Sports brings us a lot of great metaphors, and you got to try. You got to go there. You got to take the action. I think it's a great one. Okay. How about a resource? I mean, in addition to Loom, which I give a shout out to them as well, it's really so easy to do. A book, an app, anything really that has made your life better.
Well, I'm a tech nerd, so it's always going to be a platform. And yes, I shouted out Loom already today. I have to say 17 Hats. It is not well known like some other larger CRMs out there, but 17 Hats is taking the world by storm. I have to say, if you are a service provider and you need to contain contact information, proposals, invoices, signed contracts, and you just want to look professional, then you need 17 Hats.
Yeah, I've had the benefit of seeing the behind the scenes and all that you do even for your business. So it's really cool. So yeah, I mean, sign up for like a discovery call with Liz and you'll see 17 Hats in action, and it's really awesome. Okay. And last, but most certainly not least, what are you grateful for today, Liz?
I'm always grateful for my family. They are my everything, but I can't not mention you because being an entrepreneur can be a lonely road. And the fact that I can just jump on WhatsApp and message you all day, sometimes with like 14-minute long voice messages, usually not sometimes, usually 14-minute long until they stop because you can't record anymore. I'm just grateful that you actually listen to them and you're so good to me.
And again, you made me tear up. But yeah, I mean, there's no doubt to anyone that I am so, so grateful for you. And to add to that, I am grateful for how you show up and how much you're willing to give and what you do and how brightly you shine your light in this world. And thank you so much for sharing it with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining me today. Your time is precious and limited, and I'm honored you chose to spend it with me. If you have feedback, questions, or want to schedule a chat, head to positivelyproductive.com/connect. And if you are looking for any of the resources referenced on the podcast, from books to products to training and more, go to positivelyproductive.com/resources.